Hello everyone and welcome back to the Chris Talks Football Podcast, episode number 22 then in this series. And well, of course, this is probably one of the few times that we actually do this, but it is the midweek fixtures in the Premier League. And of course, there are some interesting results that have happened across the week. And of course, we'll get some reaction to that as well. Also, we'll talk about injuries, of course, because it's sort of starting to seem like as soon as a match happens, one key player from a team is going to get injured. We'll also be talking about the Cup as well, the Cup that's coming up in the weekend, the FA Cup fixtures. And we'll also talk about the league table. We'll talk about the EFL as well. Not that many matches happening in the EFL, but we will touch on that. So hopefully we are in for a bumper of an episode. So then, match day number 24, I believe, of the Premier League season. Yes, match day number 24 of the Premier League season. And, well, probably one of the biggest results in this week's fixtures has been at Old Trafford, where Manchester United lose to Burnley by 2-0. That's United's third defeat in the last 4 games, and it leaves them 6 points away of a Champions League spot. And Darren Fletcher had probably taken my words out of my mouth here. He said in the reaction to the 2-0 loss to Burnley that this was the worst United side he'd seen in the last 30 or so years, and I completely agree with that. They lost 2-0 to Burnley. The first goal for Burnley was a free kick headed down by Ben Mee, the centre-half for the Clarets, and then Chris Wood scoring again. I think he's almost into double figures now for the season, Chris Wood. He's been a pretty decent signing since coming from Leeds in 2018. And also, Jay Rodriguez getting a really, really good effort. Could we have seen goal of the month there from Jay Rodriguez? That was a really good effort from the outside of the penalty area. And he managed to beat David De Gea, who we'll talk about as well this season as well. But, yeah, Manchester United just look absolutely hopeless. I mean, 6 points behind. I mean, this was the season that, people were saying, oh, surely Manchester United will try to get back up to, the top 3 or maybe even the top 2. I thought Manchester United would actually finish where they are. Because of the lack of spending in the transfer window, which, wasn't particularly to my liking, but we moved. But, it wasn't really the greatest performance by Manchester United there. The likes of the midfield were completely outdone, and really, it's just not looking good, isn't it, for Manchester United? I really do believe now that Man United probably won't finish in the top 4. I think there really will be... what was I going to say? I think there really will be a race now for, that 5th spot, which obviously no one wants to have. But, yeah, I really don't get why Manchester United keep slipping up. And this is their chance. The January transfer window, this is their chance to at least make a good signing. As always, they have been linked with Bruno Fernandes. And, of course, more this week, they've been linked with the likes of Edinson Cavani, who I said in the last episode was asked not to play in the next PSG game to force a move, more preferably to his liking to Atletico Madrid than Manchester United. But in my opinion, I think Cavani will have to go to Manchester United. Of course, we know Atletico Madrid are not doing as well as I thought they would be. I thought they'd be in 3rd place. But, Atletico Madrid is a very defensive side, and, I just don't think it will fit Cavani's style, because he thrived on good crosses. He was much more... the best attacker in France, at least, one of the best in Europe as well during a stint with Napoli. But yeah, Burnley, what a season they're having. Pretty good as well for Burnley, because if you look at the Premier League table, 13th, 2 wins on the bounce. That's pretty good against Leicester and against Man United, 2 teams who I thought would absolutely roll over Burnley. And yeah, you have to say, a couple of weeks ago, they were looking a little bit dead and buried now. They were, 24 points they had, so they were only a couple of points off the drop zone. But luckily for them, Burnley have snuck some really, really good wins, and actually have the most wins out of any team in the bottom half of the table, which is really, really good to see. But, Burnley will just keep going. I mean, I don't exactly know who they have in the cup, but yeah, hopefully for them, they can keep going, because of course they did have that little poor run in the beginning of Christmas. I think they went on a 4-game losing run, but they have bounced back, and they are still, Burnley Football Club. Their main aim, of course, is to survive. So hopefully Burnley can do exactly that. I mean, in the cup, they do have Norwich City at home, who we'll talk about as well. But surely, I mean, the fourth round, Burnley, have got past the fourth round a lot of time. Well, not a lot of times, in fact. I think the last time they went past the fourth round was when they beat Bristol City by 4-2, I believe, in 16-17. But yeah, really good win for Burnley. But Manchester United, the crisis just keeps on going. I mean, they're trying to sign Bruno Fernandes, who did play in the Lisbon derby, I did say last time out. But it does look like the £68 million that they're asking them to pay is off. So obviously they're still a little bit interested, Manchester United, in Leicester midfielder James Maddison. Now, James Maddison, I would see moving to United in the future. Of course, he's been linked with the club ever since his breakout season in 17-18. But it all depends really on whether they can meet his price tag, because Maddison is one heck of a player, and he's probably one of the best players outside the top 6. But another player that is similar to James Maddison is Jude Bellingham of Birmingham City, 16 years old, yet to sign a professional contract. He has 2 decades of football left in him. Manchester United are looking to sign him for £25 million, and he is a very, very good talent. He's got interest from Borussia Dortmund and Bayern Munich, as well as Barcelona. So hopefully Manchester United, to ease that injury, to ease the midfield problems, they will sign Bellingham. What do I think of Harry Maguire being the captain now? Well, to be fair, this man has been at the club for a little under 6 months, and it's the same problem with Arsenal. They haven't got any leaders in the club. You can't really count Marcus Rashford as a leader. He's just their only source of goals at the moment, Manchester United. And the fact that he's going to be out for 6 weeks, I believe, is a lot of time. And Manchester United really do need a striker, because otherwise they will slip down the table and they'll lose further ground to Chelsea, who we're going to talk about after this, in the table. It's just an absolute crisis, really. And they are saying that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, regardless of the result in the Cup this weekend, regardless of whether he actually gets a good result, regardless if he actually gets a good result against Tranmere Rovers away, who we'll talk about in a bit as well, the reports suggesting that he could be sacked. But of course, the only real issue with Manchester United doesn't seem to be the manager, judging by the fans. Everyone's saying, "I'll give him time, he's building something special." And you have to admit, he has brought in some good players. I mean, Brandon Williams and Mason Greenwood from the academy, of course. But, I mean, what's really he going to do? This is supposed to be the season that, really put Manchester United into the mix for the top 4. And, now that he's not, especially with quite a while to go, it does speak as if, United are in crisis, a little bit like they were under Jose Mourinho in 18-19. So, yeah, I mean, really, it's just, I don't really know how to describe the situation at Manchester United apart from crisis. But, yeah, good win for Burnley, and they'll crack on with that now. But, speaking of Chelsea, they are 6 points ahead of Manchester United, and they played out a very entertaining 2-2 draw at Stamford Bridge. And Chelsea, of course, have got the transfer ban reduced, which means they can make signings today. They had to fend off 10-man Arsenal. Arsenal actually had David Luiz sent off against his former club for a foul on Gabriel Martinelli. And it was a penalty. Gabriel Martinelli. David Luiz actually got sent off for a foul on Tammy Abraham, rather. But, Abraham picked up an injury against Arsenal, which really isn't good. And, I mean, it's really getting to the point now where the crisis, not just for Manchester United, but for England's striking options. I mean, people will say, oh yeah, but they've got Sterling and Sancho. They still need a striker. Harry Kane's going to be out for at least the March Euros, maybe more, depending on how he could recover in time, because he has a similar injury like this a couple of weeks before the season ended last year. But, will Abraham be back in time maybe for the start of February? I'm not too sure about that one, but yeah, it does depend on whether he can recover from injury quick enough, because Chelsea, of course, do have some really important games. But Jorginho and Azpilicueta got on the score sheet for them. Of course, Jorginho with one of his trademark penalties, the instep, which was very good. Martinelli looks like he's going to have triple his wages, and he looks like a really good young talent. And could he be the next Brazilian Ronaldo? Who knows? I mean, he definitely hasn't got the physicality that the Brazilian Ronaldo had, but both were young talents at 18 years old, both absolutely brilliant. But Hector Bellerin scoring a last-minute equaliser in the 87th minute to get Arsenal a point and still try to see if they can get into the top six. Of course, Arsenal are in 10th place, just 4 points behind Manchester United. But Arsenal, of course, have had their last 3 games ending in draws. Of course, they've only had 1 defeat in their last 5, but 3 draws in a row isn't really very satisfying for Arsenal. And if you really consider the fact that Arsenal, of course, are a top 6 contender, they definitely are. And I really do think that Arsenal should maybe go ahead in the transfer window, try and get a defender, because of course they have been linked with Jerome Boateng, and it doesn't look like that's going to happen. I mean, it didn't look like it was going to happen with Upamecano, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen with Jerome Boateng. And yeah, they do really need a good result, because Arsenal should be in the top 6, so there's absolutely no reason why not. But Arsenal are playing Monday night in the FA Cup against Bournemouth. There will be a podcast on Tuesday looking back on the Cup. But hopefully that'll be good. And speaking of Bournemouth, brilliant win for them against Brighton by 3-1. They're now level on points with West Ham, who we're also going to talk about. And really good performance for Bournemouth against Brighton. And it was absolutely needed. I mean, Bournemouth were on a four-game losing run. Absolutely atrocious. But goals from Callum Wilson and Harry Wilson, both Wilsons delivering, seen off Brighton, who, by the way, Brighton have signed Aaron Moy, who did score against Bournemouth, on a permanent deal. Of course, they got him on loan from Huddersfield for the first 6 months of this season, but now he's got them on a 3.5-year deal. So that was a very good, wise transfer for Brighton there. But Callum Wilson, of course, needs to step up now. Could it be the start of the reignition for his season? Of course, they do have Arsenal in the Cup. I do think Bournemouth should go far in the Cup. I mean, they've had, ever since they come into the Premier League, they've had years and years like, not really going to take the Cup too seriously. Now I think they probably need to take it seriously a little bit now, because of course, even though it is a distraction, it will build the confidence. 4 wins in a row and you bounce back, it can still affect you no matter what. But Brighton, who actually looked pretty good, but now they're being sucked into the relegation battle. No wins in the last 4 now for Graham Potter's side. Neil Maupay and Aaron Connolly haven't really scored in a lot of games. So, maybe questions could be asked. Brighton have 6 wins, the same as Bournemouth, and the joint 3rd lowest in the whole of the bottom half. So, hopefully for them, it hopefully is just a little blip in form, because I think Brighton do deserve to stay up. And, they've got a good manager in Graham Potter, and hopefully they could deliver. But, obviously Brighton are looking to possibly sign Shakhtar Donetsk midfielder, and of course they're also looking to sign Willian José, the Real Sociedad striker. I'm not too sure if that one could work out, but you never know. It could. I mean, I'm not going to say it wasn't, but good win for Bournemouth, 3-1. They're not really planning a January transfer move for anyone, really. They don't really have any shortlist of players that they could sign from maybe the Championship or other players in Europe. But going back to Chelsea and Arsenal for a little bit, the transfer targets they're looking at, Chelsea are set to miss out on Edinson Cavani Dani Olmo, the young Spanish wonder kid, out in Croatia, but they are opening talks with Moussa Dembele, who is the former Celtic striker, who is now ripping it up for Lyon. But Chelsea, of course, do also want to try and sign Jadon Sancho, but it won't happen. I'm telling you now. I mean, 100 million was their latest bid, but I don't think it'll happen, Chelsea. I think you just have to sort of make do with what you've got. But Arsenal, as always, are the favourites to sign Thomas Lemar from Atletico Madrid, and Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang has been linked to Barcelona. Now, if Aubameyang does leave, which does seem a little bit unlikely, that'd be a massive blow, and Arsenal will not finish in the top 6 if Aubameyang leaves, because he is the only source of goals. Lacazette as well, but I mean, he scored over 50 goals for the club since his summer arrival from Borussia Dortmund. Almost 2 full calendar years, and he scored 50 goals. That is outstanding for Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, and that's very, very good. But they really do definitely need another striker, even though they have Martinelli. But a striker and probably a defender is what they need, because Boateng isn't happening, and it doesn't look like Upamecano is going to happen as well. Time to talk about the title race, and of course Liverpool still winning as always. They beat Wolves by 2-1. Roberto Firmino scoring once again for Liverpool. I'm kind of getting bored now, Liverpool winning all the time. Can we have a title race? It's not going to happen, but yeah, I mean, Liverpool won against Wolves by 2-1. As I said, Firmino scoring the goal. He's now up into double figures for the season in all competitions. That means 67 points for Liverpool. It is absolutely brilliant. 15 goals they've conceded, which is actually the best defence in the league by some distance. In fact, Sheffield United have conceded 8 more goals than Liverpool. It's mad. It's mad how unbelievably good Liverpool's defence are. But Liverpool are looking to sign Spanish midfielder Isco from Real Madrid. And now Isco has been one of the key players for Real Madrid in the past season or two. And he's actually valued at £59 million. For a 27-year-old is not that bad. It's probably average, I would say. But Liverpool aren't really interested in signing anyone else. But really, really good stuff from Liverpool. Wolves are still in the hunt for European football. They are in 7th place, joint with Spurs and Manchester United, but they have won only 1 of the last 5 and lost 3 of the last 5. So hopefully for them, they will get back to form. Of course, they did, I believe, win in the FA Cup, or did they draw? I think they were held to replay. No, I think they lost. I'm not too sure about that one. But Liverpool in the Cup, of course, they have a really tasty tie against Shrewsbury. Now, what's going to happen against Shrewsbury? I have absolutely no idea. Hopefully Shrewsbury can cause an upset, because, of course, they'll get a lot of recognition for stopping the mighty Liverpool, who probably do what they did against Everton and rest some key players. Maybe give Minamino a start, which is good for his confidence. But yeah, even though they won, Manchester City, the second most informed team in the Premier League now. That's 4 wins out of the last 5 games for Manchester City, recovering really from that 2-2 draw against Crystal Palace, with a 1-0 win against Sheffield United. And you have to say Sheffield United did well. The defence was quite solid. Jack O'Connell, John Egan, Ender Stevens, they performed pretty well, even though, they lost by 1-0. Dean Henderson saved a penalty from Gabriel Jesus, and, now sparks the debate. He has got more clean sheets this season than Jordan Pickford, so should Dean Henderson maybe be their number 1 goalkeeper in England, especially in these friendlies, you could say? I don't really know. Dean Henderson is one of the top 6 best goalkeepers in the Premier League, 100%. And if Sheffield United do sign him permanently, that will be just outstanding, because he is honestly top class. Dean Henderson is. I mean, he's been one of the most underrated goalkeepers really this season, because everyone's talking about Ederson and Alisson and Kepa, who's been okay as well. Lloris as well made his comeback against Norwich, who we'll talk about as well. But Kepa Henderson has been really good for Sheffield United. But Manchester City, of course, still looking to try and maybe close the gap on Liverpool. It's unrealistic. They're still 3 points ahead of Leicester, who recovered from 2 defeats in a row to win 4-1 against West Ham. But Manchester City will still look to transfer targets that they could have. They're also interested in signing the likes of Danny Olmo. So hopefully for Manchester City, the fact that Aymeric Laporte is back from injury, that's such a big bonus, because Laporte is one of the reasons why they won the title last season. But, it doesn't look like they're going to win the title this season, but hopefully they can secure that second spot, which surely will be a formality for them, especially if Leicester do slip up from time to time. But for Sheffield United, they're still in the top 10. We should not count them out. 1 point behind Manchester United in 5th. Sheffield United have lost 3 of the last 5 games. It is a similar record to Wolves. But if Sheffield United do get into 5th this season, I will honestly I don't even know what will happen. I mean, I predicted Sheffield United to just stay up by the breadth of a pig's foreskin. But, if they do finish 5th, that's going to make me look very silly indeed. This has been one of the most competitive Premier League seasons I think we've seen for a few years. And I know people say, but the title race is done and dusted in bloody December. I mean, it's not just about the title race, it's about the other 19, 18 teams out there. So, hopefully you guys do understand. But, speaking of Leicester, they beat West Ham by 4-1. Jamie Vardy picked up a little knock, but it looks like he will be done. It looks like he will be fine in time for their second leg of the EFL Cup against Aston Villa, a game which they drew at home 1-1. I really want to see Leicester in the final, to be fair, because they need silverware. They really do. The season they've had, they're obviously not going to win the Premier League. I don't know if they'll win the FA Cup, but the season they've had, they do need silverware, and I want to see them. And I think everyone does. I think it's particularly after the season that they won the title. But 2 goals from Jose Perez. His first goals at home. Harvey Barnes as well scored, as well as Ricardo Pereira, who, by the way, Ricardo Pereira is probably one of the most underrated fullbacks in the Premier League. So, really good to see him on the score sheet. West Ham United did get a consolation. Mark Noble, it was the softest penalty. Wilfred Ndidi coming back from injury. He'll be very good as well, especially when Nampalys Mendy, who I'm pretty sure all of the Leicester fans have forgotten since his summer move from Nice in 2016, has forgotten about. He is injured, but Leicester 4-1, still in 3rd place, and will probably get Champions League football next season, which will make an absolute mockery of my pre-season predictions when I predicted them to finish 7th and only get about 50 points or so, which is absolute bull. So I mean, it shouldn't have been a penalty though, the West Ham penalty. It was so soft. I mean, Haller, you're over 6 foot and you're getting bloody out-strength by Wilfred Ndidi, who I have to say, even though he's one of the best tacklers on the ball, physically they're around the same. So I'm not really sure why Haller dived like a fish out of water. Well, I didn't say dive. He didn't dive, but he acted like a fish out of water. But for West Ham, of course, the David Moyes welcome hasn't really delivered after that 4-0 win against Bournemouth. It's now 2 defeats in the past 3. They are level on points with Bournemouth, but they have a slightly better goal difference. But at the end of the next Premier League weekend, which is at the start of February, they could potentially be in 19th, which is unheard of for West Ham. £45 million for Sebastian Haller. He's only scored 6 goals all season. Incredible. Obviously, I will stick by West Ham because it's the team I support, but I really do want to see a change because of all the money that they spent in the last decade or so, especially when Gold and Sullivan took over. The ambition just hasn't been there. One season, what can you even call that a season in Europe? Losing to a bunch of Romanian nobodies, really, in 15-16 and 16-17. I mean, in 16-17 rather. I don't really get it, and it hasn't really been a good decade for West Ham so far. But I do want to see Haller get at least double figures because maybe he'll see it as a learning curve. Of course, when strikers do come to England, it could be hard to adapt. I mean, I think the last time someone choked like this was Radamel Falcao. He came to both Manchester United and Chelsea and only scored 5 goals. He is what Haller is going through at the moment. So I just want to see him get into double figures because maybe that will sort of ease the pressure on him. West Ham do need a striker and a centre mid, of course. They did lose out on Jedson Fernandes to Tottenham, so hopefully they can sign an adequate replacement. But Leicester, of course, third in the table. But Dele Alli and Heung-min Son scoring for Spurs as they won against Norwich by 2-1. Hugo Lloris coming back from injury but wasn't able to prevent a clean sheet after not being able to save a penalty from Teemu Pukki. That's very good for Spurs as they get right back into the race for European football. Of course, the pressure was mounted on Mourinho, but he gets his first league win of the calendar year. And also, in the other game... Sorry about that. Also, in another game involving a London club, Crystal Palace lost 2-0 to Southampton, who have just been absolutely incredible. Stuart Armstrong finally pops up with a goal. I haven't seen him score since last season. Nathan Redmond, one of their most influential players, scoring a stunner as well. Probably could rival Jay Rodriguez for goal of the month. Southampton are bloody in the top 10. They're in 9th place. They're 3 points behind Manchester United. Oh my God, 1 defeat in the last 7. Oh my God, if Southampton somehow get 5th place, especially when they were in the relegation zone at Christmas, that will honestly be so unexpected and so brilliant for Southampton, who, if you remember, did have a season in Europe in 16-17 where they beat the mighty Inter Milan, who weren't so mighty because they were playing Yuto Nagatomo at the back. But still, I mean, that would just be incredible. Danny Ings playing European football. Can you imagine that? I cannot for the life of me. Who, by the way, should start at March because he's been brilliant. Even though he didn't score against Crystal Palace, who, by the way, are only 1 point behind Southampton and only have 1 defeat in the last 5. Like Southampton, but unlucky for Crystal Palace because, of course, they did have a decent week, but it is 4 draws in a row that was, interrupted by a defeat, so hopefully they'll bounce back from that. Southampton, of course, in the Cup, playing this weekend, and that'll be interesting to see if they can go through to the 5th round. They could probably take it seriously, because they did get to the semi-final in 17-18, lost out to Chelsea. I would like to see them in the final as well. I think that'll be a good day out for Southampton fans, and that'll be pretty good. Aston Villa, huge chances for survival that were dealt with because of a second win in 4. They beat Watford by 2-1, and Watford, after that really good run, was sent back into the relegation zone after no wins in their last 2 games, no wins in their last 3 if you count the Tranmere shock that we'll talk about. But Aston Villa, are they reigniting this season 2 points above the relegation zone, looking to sign Islam Slimani, unknown. They've signed Mwamba Samatta from Genk, who scored against Liverpool in the Champions League, 10 million quid. I have no idea whether he's any good or not, but judging by the performance against Watford, he's okay. But Watford do need to score, definitely. They could probably try and sign Islam Slimani on loan. There have been some reports that he might go on loan to Watford. But Watford yesterday lost to Tranmere after extra time. I mean, to be fair, the fact that they were going to play 4 games in 9 days, I might have probably expected a good game from Tranmere, but this is big for Tranmere Rovers, who, if you remember, back-to-back promotions, they were in non-league football, in the conference in 17-18, which is, no, they were not. They were in the conference in, 17-18. Which is absolutely, mad. I don't even know how. How would you describe that? I've absolutely got no idea how you could describe that win. Paul Mullen, who has now scored at Vicarage Road and at Prenton Park. Mate, he's going to have a statue built outside Prenton Park, really. But obviously Watford, they probably couldn't give more of a toss, really. I mean, they probably don't care about the FA Cup. Obviously, what's in their mind is survival, because Nigel Pearson has done an excellent job since taking over the Hornets. But the last result, of course, of the Premier League, the last result to tell you about the Premier League is obviously the fact that Everton and Newcastle played out a 2-2 draw. Everton finally have Moise Kean scoring for them his first goal. The 19-year-old was pretty much red-faced when Duncan Ferguson took him off after 86 minutes, 16 minutes after coming on as a sub at Old Trafford late in 2019. He gets his first goal for Everton. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, double figures for him. Could he maybe start for England? I'm not too... I think he could. I mean, if we go back to October, I said that Dominic Calvert-Lewin is not a very good striker for Everton, and now he's gone and bloody scored double figures for the club. I mean, he still has a bit of good season for Everton, but still, I mean, Carlo Ancelotti will definitely be raging, especially at full time, because Florian Lejeune scored 2 goals in the space of 2 injury time minutes to rescue a point for Newcastle. What this does in terms of the Premier League table is it leaves Everton 7 points from safety. Everton now have only got 1 defeat in their last 8, 1 defeat in their last 5 in the Premier League, but of course lost to Liverpool's Kids, which is very bad. Newcastle United 14th, they are also on the same round of Everton. They have bounced back from 2 defeats in a row to unbeaten in the last 3. And there are 5 teams on 30 points. Newcastle, Burnley, Everton, Crystal Palace, Arsenal. It's so competitive. I mean, 14th Newcastle, only 4 points behind Manchester United in 5th. That is absolutely brilliant. But Newcastle have signed Valentino Lazaro from Inter Milan. How is he going to do? This is obviously a replacement for Alan Saint-Maximin, who is injured. The injury crisis do not get any better for Newcastle. But is it a good signing? I think it could be, I think it actually could be. I don't know, but it could probably be. But he's 23 years old, £20 million in the summer if they do decide to buy him. And they're actually looking to make an offer for Tottenham's fullback, Danny Rose, who has not hit 30. That could be a bit of a coup for Newcastle if Danny Rose signs for them, because he's been pretty consistent during the last couple of seasons, always starting 25 plus games for Tottenham. So yeah, it'll be a decent signing. Newcastle though do need strikers. I mean, Andy Carroll hasn't really done much in his return. Joe Linton, of course, is looking leakier than a Indian house's pipes. Also, Dwight Gale, of course, is injured, his hamstring. So yeah, they definitely need to invest in a striker. But that is it for the Premier League roundup. Of course, we will be back with the Premier League on the 2nd of February, which will be my last podcast before I do an announcement. Now it's time to look into the EFL, and as I said at the start of the programme, not many EFL results that have happened during this midweek fixtures. The EFL results that have happened in the Championship: Preston North End beat Barnsley by 2-0 to put them back into the playoffs. 2 wins in their last 3. Very, very good after getting dumped out of the cup by Norwich. Are they probably establishing themselves as a playoff credential? Barnsley in the relegation zone, 1 win in their last 6. Not very good for the Tykes, who are 4 points off of Stoke in 21st. Also in the Championship, it has been a very, very good day for I say a good day, probably a better day for Fulham. They didn't really play well, but they managed to get a draw against Charlton Athletic. And Charlton, who started the season off well, still no wins in their last 7. They're hovering above the relegation zone, 6 points. Fulham, 3 points behind Leeds United. Lads, West Brom and Leeds are bottling it here, lads. I mean, West Brom are playing West Ham in the Cup. They're bottling it. West Brom have got 11 draws, the same as Middlesbrough in 17th. Middlesbrough drew with Birmingham City. Lukas Jutkovic, the former Burnley striker, scoring for them. Birmingham City looking to get away from safety. That's now unbeaten in their last 3 games. Middlesbrough have now not got a win in their last 3 games. Charlton as well, Fulham rather, only 1 defeat in their last 7 games. Very good form for Fulham as well. In the Championship table, of course, not really many results. Fulham climbing into the playoffs as Fulham climbing closer to automatic promotion, as has Preston. And of course, Barnsley losing means they're deep trouble in the relegation zone. There were a couple of results in League One to tell you about. Only one result, and that was Peterborough United 4, Wycombe Wanderers 0. Wycombe had a man sent off. Ivan Toney, the former Newcastle United striker, scoring a brace for Peterborough. The Holy Trinity. Speaking of the Holy Trinity for Peterborough, they're one of the most influential of the three. Marcus Maddison could be on his way to Charlton or Bristol City. He's been subject of a lot of interest in the Championship, and even Aston Villa wants him, but that is not realistic. I don't think they're going to pay, I don't know how much, for Marcus Maddison. But Peterborough United still looking to try and get into the playoffs. Hopefully they could do that. In League 2, Colchester and Bradford played out a 0-0 draw. Leyton Orient played out a 1-1 draw with Northampton Town. Both teams had players sent off. James Dayton for Leyton Orient and Scott Wharton for Northampton Town, with Josh Wright scoring a penalty. And Macclesfield have been through so much over the last 12 months, managed to salvage a draw, against Crewe Alexandra. Crewe still remain in the playoffs. Doesn't do any better for Macclesfield's survival credentials. This really needed to be a win. This was a game in hand. But in Europe, of course, Cristiano Ronaldo has now scored 7 goals in 4 games in 2020. He looks like a man on form as he approaches his 35th birthday. I mean, happy birthday, by the way, Cristiano, if you do watch this. But 7 goals in 4 games is absolutely madness for a player like him, even though he's been one of the world's best for the last decade. But that is it, guys, for the Chris Talks Football podcast. I will leave you with the news that Bayern Munich has signed Alvaro Odriozola from Real Madrid on loan, and also the fact that Layvin Kurzawa, the PSG fullback, could be on his way to joining Arsenal on a contract deal next summer. But that is it, guys. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed, and if you are new, please subscribe to the channel. And also smash that like button. And I will see you guys for another episode very soon.